We're talking about business applications, and is this a review for most?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So this isn't in your notes, but you can take notes on the side of that sheet on your iPad. So the costs of a business or a company are the amounts paid to do business. So that's rent, payroll for employees, supplies, electricity, heat, gas, and other expenses. So when we're doing these problems today, we're going to have two types of costs. And one is going to be a fixed cost. And the fixed cost would be just the money that you have to pay. So like Minnetonka High School, no matter what, they have to pay for the building. So they have to pay for the heat, the electricity, the employees, the teachers' salaries. So those are fixed costs. Then there's another type of cost. Who knows what that is? Yep, or variable. So let's use variable. So that changes depending on how much you sell of something, or how much you produce of something. So let's say we're making a bag of these dummy suckers. Let's say we're the company that makes those. And it costs us $1.20 to make one bag. That would be our variable cost. So we'd say that would be like 120x. And then our fixed cost would be employees' pay, the cost to keep the building running, all of those. I think that would probably depend on like how well the company ends up doing throughout the year. So you getting a raise would probably depend on how well the company does, right? So just for this, like starting off the year, the employees' pay is more fixed. And then you would get a raise maybe at the end of the year if the company did really well. And then revenue. So we label cost with the C, and then revenue is an R. And that's income from investments. So the revenue, if we sell 20 bags of dummies and we sell them at $3.30, then that's our revenue. So we could say, like, for a bag of dummies, our revenue would be $3.30, if that's how much we're selling them for. Hi. Oh, okay. So revenue is the money in. And then the profit is the money made from a business. So you don't get profit until your costs and revenue have been equal. So you don't get a profit until your revenue is more than your costs. So you can write when revenue is greater than your costs. Who thinks they know the term for when the costs equal the revenue? That's breaking even, yep. So when our total costs equal our revenue, we've broke even. That means we've made enough money to take care of all of our costs, and any more revenue after that is then our profit. Is this review? Okay. So pretty simple. So all of our problems and the problems that we're working with, we're trying to find break even. When will the company break even? After how many units do they break even? Any questions on this slide before we move on? Okay. So we have an application, and I think this is the first one on your sheet then. This right here. Do you see that? Okay. So a small business invests $10,000 in equipment to produce a product. So this $10,000, is that a cost or a revenue? Yep. So they invested, so that's a cost. So our cost so far is $10,000 because that's how much they've spent. So they've invested $10,000 in equipment to produce a product. Each unit of the product costs 65 cents. So the 65 cents, if it costs us 65 cents to make one unit, how would I include this with my cost equation? Yep, plus 0.65x. So this company, they first invested that 10,000, and then any units they want to make, the additional cost would be 0.65 times X. And then our next equation, what do you think our next equation we need to find? Revenue. We want to see how we make revenue, how we're going to make money. So then they sell these units or the equipment for $1.20. So what would our revenue be? What? 120x. So the amount, x is the amount, how many units or how much equipment they sell times $1.20, and that'd be their revenue. Then the final part of the question says, how many items must be sold before the business breaks even? And we said that's what break even is, what equals what? Revenue equals cost, or cost equals revenue. So, to do that, let's set them equal to each other. Because here's our C. We can replace this with C. And here's our R, so we can replace this with R. So we get 10,000 plus 0.65x equals 120x. Do that on your calculator. Everyone, solve that. Find out x. You still don't have it up, either of you? Okay, I'm really not kidding. I'm doing you a favor by letting you sit by each other. So if you can't even get out your notes for the day, then you're going to have to move back to your spot. I'm not kidding, Kevin. I don't have to let you sit by each other. Okay, what did we get x to equal? Has anyone found it yet?
Yeah.
What'd you get, Sunny? Is it 6,000 something?
No.
That's a different problem.
I didn't get it yet. I'm just telling.
Did you get it? What'd you get? 18,000. 181. Did other people get that? Raise your hand if you got that. Raise your hand if you're confused how to solve this equation. Okay. Shh. Well, how did I get that equation? Is that what you're asking?
Well, you just said them both equal to y and just plug it into your calculator and have it intersect.
You could do that too. Otherwise, you can just solve this equation, right?
Yeah.
Couldn't you say minus 0.65x?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so we get x equals $18,181. So what does that mean exactly, though? We have to interpret what that means. So this equation was trying to find the break-even point. So that x means that they'd have to sell what?
18,181 units.
Yep, they'd have to sell that many to break even. If they sell less than this, so if x is less than that, that means they're losing money. Or they didn't have enough revenue to pay for all of their costs. If x is greater, then what? Yep, they start making profit. Profit. Questions on any of that? Okay. So try this one. This is the second one on your sheet. And I'll be walking around. Shh. So, we're trying to find when the business breaks even. And what is our equation for break even? R equals C. Or C equals R. It doesn't matter. Okay, so it costs a business. The first thing we want to do is calculate our costs. They invested $15,300, and then it cost them $1.22 to produce each. What is it? Just each. Okay, on your calculator. Okay, well, we're going to learn it this way. And then our revenue, they're selling them for $3.45 a piece. So if R equals C, here's our R, and here's our C. And you all got X to equal 860. And what? We're just rounding to that. Okay, so one last thing before we finish. What does this X equals 6,860 mean?
That's how many they have to sell to break even.
Sell to break even. What if I sell less than that?
And you don't break even,
You're losing money. What if I sell more? Then I'm finally making a profit. Okay, so if you understood that, then you're golden. There's no homework for, did you see any homework on Schoology?